believe we live in one of the most crucial hours of the church. We need to see every single person fulfill their destiny.
And it is time that the church start to realize that the earth is watching and waiting for what only we can bring.
Fight Like a Girl is a call to God's daughters to wage the war only they can win. Daughters of the Most High, you are an answer, not a problem. Recapture the power of being a woman.
For a long time in my traveling and speaking, I would actually bond with my audiences over my distaste for women. I would be like, how many of you in there don't like women? They'd be like, did the afternoon speaker just say she doesn't like women? I love her. She doesn't like women. I feel so safe. I am with a woman who doesn't like women. I don't like women either. And that's a little scary. I mean, why should they feel safe with me as a woman if I don't like women? I mean, it doesn't translate for any other group. Now, I am half Sicilian. Do you know what Sicilian is? Do you know what they are? They're Arabs and Italians mixed. Why? Yeah, see, why would anybody have done that? Why would they? I mean, there's certain races that you should not cross. Arabs and Italians. No, they should never have been mixed. Thus, the mafia. So anyway, I am half Sicilian. And let's say I got invited to speak to some Arab council, and I just got there and I said, you know what? I really don't like Arabs. They really just annoy me. They would be like, out. We want another speaker. If I was a man, or a man speaker gets up in front of a bunch of men and says, I really don't like guys. People aren't going to applaud him. Yes, we love this. No, they're going to say, get rid of this guy. It only works with women. Why is that? Why don't women like each other? And for years, I just kind of used it to my own advantage and bonded with my audiences about it. But then I started thinking, what is this? Why is it that girlfriends don't like each other? I mean, even when they're calling each other girlfriend, they're not even being nice. They're not really being friend. They want to smack you. So I was like, hey, what's going on in that? And I've betrayed my gender many, many times. Often I've gotten to sit into meetings with John, with publishers, and maybe 4 or 5 guys, and they'd kind of look at me like, oh, you're about your wife. Okay. I'd be like, I'm really not a girl. I am a girl, but I'm really not like those girls. I'm really not like a girly girl. I'm really like more of a guy. And they're like, what? Why would we be happy that we've got confused gender person in this room right now? Why? Well, I'm just trying to say I'm not like a passive aggressive woman. See, I didn't like women because I never knew where I stood with them. I mean, guys, if they're mad at you, they just hit you. Or they just say something, and then they get over it. But the girlfriends, they're like, oh, no, I'm not upset. And then they stab you in the back later. So I just didn't like it. And then there's certain rules in female language that I was always breaking. I was always saying what I meant instead of saying what I didn't mean and pretending like I meant something else. I mean, I just didn't really feel like I got along with women. So I asked the Holy Spirit, I said, what is it? Why don't women like other women? Well, he told me, he said, women perceive men as answers and other women as problems. So they tend to pull towards the masculine to get their strength and distance themselves from the women, saying, you're either competitive with me for the male answer, or you annoy me because you remind me of my weakness. Now, we got to change that. We've got to really re-look at that. So we distance ourselves because we don't like what it looks like. But you know what? It's because there's been a lack of the awareness of feminine value for a very long time. And when there's no value placed on the female gender, then of course you're going to not want to be one. Now, who really started this? Well, actually, this movement is as old as I am. I'm 46 this year. And the feminist movement started just a couple years after I was born. And basically, the feminists said, you know what, it's really not right that we're not getting the same pay for the same work. And you know what, that isn't right. But they didn't stop there. They just started saying, and you know what's also really not right? And then they started saying, we're going to be powerful women by being men. We're just going to do everything the men does. That's what powerful women are. They're men. They're really confused. Feminists are the most anti-female people you will ever meet in your life. They want women to be men. Interestingly enough, they also want men to be women. They really do. It's very confusing. They want women to be men to be women, and they have really confused a lot. I mean, I'm all about equal pay for equal work. A woman can be a woman. In whatever profession. Women should have the freedom to be in any kind of profession, but they're not stopping there. They are displacing men from every portion of life. It's like men, there's a hatred towards men. But you gotta remember, what did we learn last time? Men are not our problem. There's a serpent that's our problem. Men are our allies, they're not our enemies, nor are they the image that's supposed to be held up for us to be. So we've got women a little confused, but you know what? God is awakening women. And in our individual positions and in our individual gifts, he's really reestablishing us as daughters first. Because you know what? I am a mother, I am a wife, but I was first a daughter. I will always be a daughter. When my boys move out, I'll kind of be their mother, but I won't really be acting in that role. Hopefully they give me 25 grandchildren because I want to spoil them. But the truth is, I'm always a daughter. At the end of the day, I've got to always be able to relate to God as his daughter. But I didn't really realize that I was full-on feminine until I got engaged. When John and I got engaged, you know, he was so excited about getting married to me. And I had a ring, I had this ring, I actually turned him down twice. We broke our engagement twice until I got the ring. I was like, okay, I'll stay now. I'll stay now. You got me the diamond, we're staying. We've been married for 24 years this year, but I remember we were sitting in this park, this beautiful Sunday afternoon, and John starts like talking about our life stretching before us, and all of a sudden, like a panic attack hit me. I was like, wait, I'm a girl. I mean, I'm a female now. I'm gonna be married. He's gonna be the man, and I'm gonna have to be the woman. I can't pretend like I'm a man in a woman's body anymore. I'm gonna have to be a woman because John's not gonna be the woman. I'm gonna have to be the woman. And all of a sudden, this was all going on in my brain, and he's just talking like, honey, I just can't wait to love you and boss you. And I'm like, boss me? Wait a minute. I hate being a girl. And I just start weeping, crying. I hate being a girl. It's so frustrating. It's so limiting. I just hate it. And John was like, oh my gosh. And so John tried to calm me down about, well, honey, why don't you want to be a girl? I'm happy you're a girl. Don't be happy I'm a girl. I'm not happy I'm a girl. I'm glad you're a girl, Lisa. I couldn't marry you if you weren't a girl. I know. It's wrong. I'm not happy. So he actually just took me to this couple that were like parents to him. And he just really was like, I've talked to her for a half an hour. She's still crying. The more I talk, the more upset she gets. And I thought she had these issues settled. So he just kind of took me to their house, and I'm like, and he's like, go in the bathroom, calm yourself down. So I go in, and he pulls the lady aside, like he's like, I didn't hit her. I didn't hit her. I didn't touch her. I didn't say anything mean. I just was talking about being happy that I was going to marry her, and she just melted down and started saying she hated being a woman, and the lady just kind of was like, okay. And so I was trying to clean up really quick because I was expecting her to say, cut her loose right now. Cut her loose. Cut your losses. Let her keep the ring. Run for your life. Don't marry her. This is going to be a problem. You need to run. But that isn't what happened. I came out of the bathroom. I was like totally ashamed. You know, she's a godly, beautiful, godly woman. If I could be her when I grow up, that'd be so great. And she just looked at me, and she looked at John, and she just put her hands on both my shoulders. She said, I understand. That's all she said. And you know, back then, it seemed enough to me to be understood by an older woman that I was frustrated, even if she couldn't give me any answers, just knowing somebody knew I wasn't like insane. I was like, thank you. Thank you for understanding. You didn't understand, John. Well, he wasn't a woman. He wasn't a woman. How could he have a frame of reference to understand? But the truth is, it's really probably more accurate to say that we don't like what we have evolved to represent as women. It's not that we really don't like women, because usually you like the sister sitting next to you. It's the whole concept and the way it's just kind of spiraled down that we don't like. And if we don't like it, then you know what? We need to change it. You know, like direct marketing? You know, direct marketing, it's like, you want to get in on the ground floor, right? Because basically, if you get into Mary Kay right now, it's going to be like a really long time before you start making money. I mean, it depends on what market you're in, but if you get in on the ground floor of something, then you have an opportunity to not only make it valuable, but you can form its image. And I believe that at this moment in time, we are on the ground floor of what it looks like to be a daughter of the Most High God. And that we have a chance to really begin to pattern this thing. Instead of just saying, I don't like it, we need to say, okay, what would it look like? What would it look like where it would be a comfortable fit? What would it look like where I wouldn't resent my femininity? See, it's time that we begin to be that woman, to model what she would look like. And so we have the power to do that, to give it expression. I also think that there's something crucial missing in the feminine, and we really have lost a connection with that. I know for me, I hate being limited. I hate feeling like I have weakness. Not all of us do, but I mean, I hate thinking that I have weaknesses. I hate thinking that I'm limited. But you know what? We have strengths. Women only have weaknesses in areas where they compare themselves with other people. Men do the same thing. They'll say, well, you know, he's so good at golf and I just stink at golf. Well, they got another strength. You know, so we need to stop comparing and contrasting ourselves with each other and begin to say, what is our strength? Now, anytime you demean somebody else, it doesn't make you look stronger. It makes everybody look weaker. And so we need to say we're going to really begin to change. Women are saying, well, I'm equal in value. I deserve to belong. Well, then we need to behave in a way where the men want to invite us into their worlds, where they say, we need your contribution instead of you trying to do what I do. All right, so we really need women to begin to find their way. And I think quite a few of us have lost our way for a long time. We're starting to navigate these things kind of late in life. For the last 2 years of my life, I have been immersed in gender studies. I have been immersed in what does it look like? What does it look like to be that woman? What does it sound like? How does she do things? How does she live her life? What would she look like if I could find her? Okay, I can't find her. What would it look like if I would be her? For years, we've had a lot of different mixed messages when it comes to women. When I was young, I remember the first time I heard feminists, I thought it sounded like a good idea. I was like, yeah, hey, you know, what? They appealed to my desire for power. But you know what? There was always this undercurrent of anger. Then I remember hearing the voices of divorced women. And they would tell about how mistreated they were by men and how you can't trust the men. But there was always this voice of bitterness. Then I remember going to college, and I had, interestingly enough, my sociology of women teacher was very anti-men. She was actually a lesbian teacher, and that was an interesting dynamic. But there was an agenda there in everything she taught to elevate women, demean men, and anything feminine was characterized as stupid. Anything nurturing was weak. Then I remember I went to church and I started to hear the views of the leader, and there seemed to be a little bit of a static of a religious system. Each voice had a portion of truth, but they weren't the truth. There was true hardships, there was true that there was divorces, there was true domination, there was true betrayal, there was true loss, there was true abuse. But when I put all the pictures together, I didn't like what I saw. I didn't want to have to be somebody that hardened my heart so I could be safe. I wanted to have an open heart so that I could live differently. Now, there was always an element of victimization where women were just victimized, which means you have no dignity left. And you know what? Women have dignity because of what Jesus did on the cross. We are not victims no matter what we've been through in our life. We have dignity, and we need to walk in that. In order to find our way to truth, we're going to have to turn off the static that our culture is sending. We've got to turn off the static that we send ourselves. You know, you can hear something, and it can be pure when it comes into your head, and by the time you've processed it, it is totally twisted. I mean, I've had people say things to me that I've said to them, and when they heard it one way and they echo it back to me, I'm like, I didn't say that. That's not what I meant, but that's what they heard. So we've got to understand that we have to turn off the static because it begins to muffle everything in life. And for women, there's a constant static, and men, you may have heard it too, but for women, it's a static. I heard it in preaching, I heard it in sitcoms, I heard it at school, I heard it in marriages. Do you know what the static said? The static said, women are a problem. That's what I heard all the time. Just a little undercurrent of static. Women are a problem. Now see, it wasn't the men saying that to me. It was enmity saying that to me. Women are a problem. So if I heard, if the pastor read a scripture like, wives submit to your husband, I'd be like, is that because I'm a problem? I mean, I heard everything through the problem dynamic. If I heard men are the glory of God, I thought women are the glory of men. I'm a problem, right? The men, that's the glory of God, and I'm like almost dirt. I'm like with the cattle there, right? Okay, wait. That's not true. Women are not a problem. Now, they can cause problems, but it is not innate to our gender to be a problem. Actually, the very opposite is true. In the very beginning of creation, there was a problem, and that was that the man was alone, and the woman was God's answer. Women are not problems. They are answers to problems. That's why God calls them what? Help meet. They make up for whatever is lacking. Now, you need to understand, if you think you're a problem, what happens? You begin to act like one sooner or later. If you think you're a problem, when people give you an answer, you don't hear it because you're still processing it as a problem instead of an answer. But if you believe that you're an answer and not a problem, you think a whole lot differently than if you have a problem mindset, correct? I mean, I remember when I was in high school, I really, really did not enjoy trigonometry. I loved algebra, I loved geometry. There was just something in my brain, like a little switch that needed to be flipped. When it came to trigonometry, I was just like, help, help, I'm not wait, I don't understand this. And so I would tell myself every day, you love trigonometry. You're really good at cosines and tangents. You know this stuff. But I mean, it was a lie. But I would just be so panicked going to the classroom. My brain, they would be trying to explain it, and I couldn't hear it, thinking, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. This is a problem. But when I started saying, you can do this, calm down, then it was like all of a sudden I could hear again, and I was able to get a B in the class. So women need to begin to get up every day and look in the mirror and say, today, I'm an answer to somebody's problem. Today, I'm an answer to my husband's problems. Today, I am God's answer to this world problem. You say, well, Jesus is the answer. Through us, hello, Jesus is up in heaven. He's like seated saying, people, will you get it right? I've done everything. Now, can you just do it, please? Women need to begin to look at each other and say, you know what, I don't have to be threatened by you because you're an answer, not a problem to me. And you know what, men aren't a problem either, but they're not our answer either. See, it's too much pressure to put all of that responsibility to meet all of our needs on our husbands. Only God can have that place in our life. What we have to do is get our life from God and then begin to extend our life as an answer to everybody else. Okay, so women, what are you? That's right, you're not a problem. So if you hear, wives submit to your husband, is that because you're a problem? No, it's because you're an answer, and that's a kingdom dynamic that's the way it works the best. It's not because you have to be controlled, it's because that's the position that God has given us. And I love the line from Take the Lead. It says, it takes just as much strength to follow as it does to lead. And we need to restore the dignity of following, because there's times that you can think, oh, I could just do this so much better if I could just be the man. I'm like, God, you made a big mistake. Let me be the man. I could do this so much better. No, no, no. I only think I'm powerful that way because I don't understand the strength I actually have. So we've got to turn it off. Now, the Bible says in Proverbs 29:18, without a vision, the people perish. Now, we've got to get a vision of the women in the church as answers, not problems. Not problems to be controlled, but answers to be embraced. Now, when Adam had Eve presented to him, what did he do? Did he go, I kind of like her, but I'm concerned she might be a little bit of a problem? No, he was like, oh my gosh, this is just what I was looking for. God, how did you know? This is perfect. She is exactly, matter of fact, she is so amazing. She's going to be the mother of all life. I mean, he said, this woman is great. Now, we are formed as his daughters for answers, for beauty, for restoration, for relationship, and for love. Now, most women, when they hear you're an answer, not a problem, there's something in their head that has a hard time making that switch like I did with my trigonometry. But the truth is, you are not defined by the way you've lived your life so far. You say, no, you don't understand. See, I have never been an answer. I have been a problem to everybody in my life. Well, I'm not talking about what you've been. I'm speaking to your destiny. I'm speaking to what should be shifting in your life tonight, that you are an answer to problems. So problems are very different than answers. Problems are very negative. They're critical. They are nagging you. They always kind of reside with you, and they're judgmental. They worry your lives with fear. But answers are very different. Solutions sound and feel very different. It's kind of like when you see it, you're like, yeah, that's right. I mean, when Adam saw Eve, he said, this is right. This is exactly correct. So we need to begin to understand that the very reason for women's existence is answers to problems, motive behind our creation. And we need to really be able to understand that even though men are not our answer to everything, we are often an answer to a lot of their issues, our problems. And I'm not saying that men have more issues than women. I'm just saying that women tend to have some insight that the men don't get. It's God that said in Genesis 2:18-19, he said, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make a companion who will help him. Now, notice it didn't say who will be dominated by him. It said who will help him. Adam needed Eve. He found in her his answer. In Eve, all of Adam's weaknesses were made strong. What was Adam's weakness? His heart. His heart. See, men know how to put everything in place, but they don't often know how to connect with it. So in Eve, Adam's weaknesses were made strong. What does Proverbs 31 say? That she guardians her husband's heart. So Adam looked at her, he said, alas, this is bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. I'm going to call her woman because she was taken out of man, which we're going to be talking about a little bit more in the next session. So we need to begin to embrace women as answers. See, there's a world that is longing and waiting to see and hear the daughters of God. I have gone to so many women's conferences that literally when the speakers were speaking, I felt like if I closed my eyes, I would like see men, because their voices sound so masculine, so strong, so grumpy, so brah. And I know that we're supposed to be powerful as women, but not as men, not as men. And so what we've kind of done in the church is said, we've got to have women that are going to be strong in the church, they're going to sound like men. That's not what we need. We need women in the church that sound like women. I know I took my baby to this one. I called John. I said, there's like a major man-hating spirit here. I'm covering my son saying, I love you, I love you. I'm not mad at men. You know, so we're not going to wrestle with the men. We're not going to try to be the men. We're not going to alienate ourselves from our female relationships. We're going to begin to say, all right, what does it look like to be an answer to everybody in my life's problem? And again, and it's not like a pressure thing, like I got to be the answer to everything. I kind of was overstating that. But we need to stop embracing the lie, and we need to start living the truth, okay? By forgetting as women that we were lovely, we lost a portion of our beauty. And it's true that most of us don't disappoint the people that are watching for us to fail. If somebody expects me to say something stupid, I usually rarely disappoint them. I mean, I'm like, I'll not just say one thing stupid, I'll say like 15 things stupid. Most of us are that way. We sense whether people are watching for us to be solutions or problems. The wind is shifting in the spirit, and God is really blowing freedom over his sons and daughters. And it's really time for us to begin to step into that. The world is really longing to hear the loveliness and the tenderness and the gentleness of the voice of the daughters again, not women that sound like men, okay? So what are the men? What are the men? They're answers, and they're what? Allies. What are the women? Answers and allies. So see, there's nobody that's a problem. Between the man and the woman, there's nothing but good, okay? All right, I'm going to go ahead and pray. Father, I just thank you for this crowd. I thank you that every woman here understands that even though she may have had problems, even though she may have caused problems, even though problems may have happened to her, that it was never her core. It was never her nature, Father. That you created her as a helpmate, that you created her as an answer to a problem. Father, I just thank you that you begin to restore the truth that has been lost, that the overarching lies of the enemy would be displaced with the truth. Father, I bless these women. Let the answers of their life come forth in Jesus' name. And everybody agrees, say, amen.
Thank you for watching The Messenger. We hope you were encouraged and strengthened. To learn more about our ministry resources, outreach programs, and John and Lisa's schedule, visit us online at messengerinternational.org.